Welcome in, basketball fans, once again to NBA Now from Chat Sports. With you as always, I'm your host, Jimmy Crowther of All Things Mavs, and today we're diving into all the latest and greatest NBA news and rumors surrounding the Dallas Mavericks. A lot has come out lately, so let's start right away with Nikola Vucevic, who Mark Stein says the Mavs are not prioritizing. Now, we all thought they were for a while. There was a lot of reports about it right after the trade for Kristaps Porzingis that he would be one of their main targets this summer, but it's not looking that way according to Stein, who's been more plugged into the Mavs than a lot of media guys for a long time. So Stein kind of did this Q&A. He was asked this question by my guy Zach Cunningham on Twitter. Are they looking at Nikola Vucevic? And he said basically he's not a priority. He's not a priority for this Mavs team. Now look, for me, I still don't hate signing Nikola Vucevic this summer. I don't think it would be bad. The guy's an all-star. He can still play at a high level. But the thing I shy away from is giving him a max contract because he didn't produce in the playoffs. He had one chance to show that he can play in the playoffs, and he didn't. It was a flop. And if you're going to sign a guy sign a guy to a max contract, you expect him to show up when it really counts. So let's look at that first round. 5 games played, 11.2 points per game, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, only 23.1% from 3 for a guy that's supposed to be a stretch 5, and then 36.2% from the field as a whole. Now, obviously for the Mavs fans, the Mavs organization, the goal here is to get back to the postseason. They haven't been in a while. It's time to get back into the playoffs. So yes, Nikola Vucevic is going to help you win games in the regular season and get you into the playoffs. But once you get there, if he's on a max contract, you expect him to produce. And if this is his playoff production, I'm not giving him a max contract. It's pretty disappointing. I was really high on him before the playoffs, and now not so much. Look, I'd still love it if we signed him for the right price, but if he's not going to show up in the playoffs, I'm not giving him a max contract. So I don't think that signing a center or necessarily a big man in general is really a priority with Kristaps Porzingis on board. Dwight Powell is still going to be on board. Hopefully bringing back Maxi Kleber in restricted free agency. But I think they have to get at least one center, at least one power forward that can come off the bench or maybe start. So I have 5 guys. 5 guys that if the Dallas Mavericks decide they're not going to sign Nikola Vucevic like Stein says, this is who I think they could look at, and I ranked them from least realistic down to the most realistic options for the Mavs this summer. Starting with Al Horford in Boston. He has a player option. Nobody really expects him to decline that player option. I expect him to pick it up and stay in Boston. He's been great there this playoff series, this playoffs in general, and I just don't see him declining that, so I'd put that at least likely. But if he declines that player option, Mavs should be at his doorstep right away. Number 2, another player option guy is Julius Randle, DFW native. I've brought him up a lot. I think he declines the player option, but I think he just re-ups his deal with the New Orleans Pelicans. But I do think he'd be a great fit here for rebounding. His defense is probably a bit of a concern, but rebounding and scoring is not a concern at all. And then number 3, we get a little bit more realistic here with Willie Cauley-Stein of the Sacramento Kings. Restricted free agent, so that's why I still only have him at number 3, because you would obviously have to overpay to make sure the Kings don't match if you want him. He's a bit of an inconsistent player. He's still young, a little unproven in my opinion, but he's a lob threat. He is athletic, long. I like Cauley-Stein, but as a restricted free agent, it gets a little tough. Then, these last 2 guys are really, really realistic in my opinion. That's Ed Davis of the Brooklyn Nets, who's entering unrestricted free agency. Great rebounding big man you can bring off the bench, in my opinion. I wouldn't start him, but a great guy off the bench. And then Dwayne Dedmon of the Atlanta Hawks. He's only 29 years old, and he's a stretch 5. He's shown that he can knock down the 3, but he's also a rim protector, and I think that's what you need for this Dallas team is someone that can protect the rim and play defense alongside Porzingis. Again, these are 5 guys that I think the Mavs should they decide to shy away from Nikola Vucevic. All these guys, for the most part, besides maybe Horford and maybe even Julius Randle, will not be demanding a max contract. But let me know in the comment section below. Give me a comment. Let me know where you think Nikola Vucevic is going to end up this summer. Personally, I think he's staying in Orlando. I think they re-sign him. They got to the playoffs with him. I think they'll re-sign him. But let me know what you think. And while you're commenting about where you think Vucevic is going to end up, I want to let you know that today's show is sponsored by Wager Talk. It's the best service in the game. The best service to provide you with all the expert picks, predictions for all your sports betting needs. You can get started today for free with our promo deal at wagertalk.com/chatsports. If you have any trouble or you need any help, just DM me on Twitter at all_things_Mavs. You guys got my account. DM me if you need some help with Wager Talk and get started today. So now, the second rumor, and probably the biggest rumor to come out in Mavs Nation, and where I want to spend the majority of our time, is Stein, in that same little blurb, said that the Mavs are going to, quote, fling themselves at Kemba Walker and or Khris Middleton this summer. Both of them entering unrestricted free agency. Both of them made the All-Star team out in the East. Love both of them. I want to break them down, kind of compare them, and then look at who's more likely, who I like more, this, that, and the other. So let's talk about it. Kemba Walker played all 82 games, 25.6 points per game, 5.9 assists, 4.4 rebounds, nearly shot 36% from three. And here's something I want to point out. He's 28 years old. People say on Twitter, oh my gosh, he's 30 years old. He's 28. He's about to turn 29. Yes, this month, I believe, he turns 29 years old. But he's not, like, past his prime. He's right in the middle of it. So biggest concern with him, listed at 6'1", 184 pounds, undersized point guard, which makes him a bit of a liability on the defensive end. And then you compare him to Khris Middleton, the other unrestricted free agent out in the East that the Mavs reported they are going to target. 18.3 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 4.3 assists. The biggest thing, he nearly shot 38% from behind the three-point arc. He's 6'8". He's 27 years old, so he's only about a year and a half younger than Kemba Walker. One of the best two-way guys in the playoffs right now. He is defending on the defensive end, and he's producing on the offensive end. Love Khris Middleton, Texas A&M product. He's really proving himself to be a valuable piece for the Milwaukee Bucks in the second round of the playoffs. So let's take a deeper dive into Khris Middleton. Look, right now it's really early. We still have like 2 months until free agency begins. But I'm leaning toward giving Khris Middleton a max contract over Kemba Walker, and simply because he's not a defensive liability. He will probably defend the best player on the other side if he should be in a Maverick uniform. He's just one of those guys that you just plug in right away and he fits into a system. It doesn't matter where, you can plug him in and he's going to play. He doesn't need the ball to be productive. You obviously have Luka Doncic as your primary ball handler, and passing him the ball on the wing, he's going to knock down threes. He's not going to be a go-to option for a team. He probably shouldn't even be the second option for a team that's hoping to go to the NBA Finals, which you kind of see Eric Bledsoe is probably the second option on this Milwaukee Bucks team. Sometimes it's Middleton, but he can score 18 points per game. He can score, and he's going to defend, like I said, at the highest level. I really like him. I would not be mad if I saw the Mavs give him a max contract this summer. But the biggest problem with Khris Middleton, it's not his play, it's not his age, it's not anything about that. It's getting him away from Milwaukee. He's in a great situation. He doesn't have to be the best player. Like I said, he's got Giannis. He's got Eric Bledsoe. He doesn't have to be the number one option. They're the number one team record-wise in the league. They have a chance of making a run to the NBA Finals. Why would he leave? If they're willing to pony up the dough and pay him, why would Khris Middleton leave? And that's what Mark Stein said. He said, along with Klay Thompson, who's probably not going to be leaving the Golden State Warriors this season, he just doesn't see any realistic scenario in which Khris Middleton leaves. So if the Mavs get a meeting with him, go all in, all chips in, I'm all about it. I just don't think there's any consideration that he walks out of Milwaukee this summer. So now, looked at Middleton, and now I want to look at Kemba Walker, an absolute NBA star, NBA All-Star, the best player on the Charlotte Hornets for the past 8 seasons, I believe. In those 8 seasons in which he's been there, he's only made the playoffs twice, which is absolutely disappointing. He's done everything for this city. He's a great guy in the community, and he is an even better player. I don't want to say even better player than he is person. He's a great person and a great player off the court and on the court. And here's the thing. He's way more likely to leave Charlotte than Khris Middleton is to leave Milwaukee. You look at the situation he's been in, I think the best player they've probably surrounded him with was a washed-up Dwight Howard, who was putting up decent numbers for Charlotte. Nicholas Batum had a few good years in Charlotte. Other than that, Charlotte doesn't do anything to help him out. He doesn't have any great role players around him, but if he came to Dallas, he would. He wouldn't have role players around him. He'd have other guys to help him carry the load. He wouldn't have to be the number one guy, and he wouldn't need to carry a team on his back the way he has in Charlotte for 8 years. So look, here's my thing with Kemba Walker. Yes, I'm leaning toward Middleton with a max contract, but that doesn't mean I don't want Kemba Walker, or I would be in the least bit upset if he said he wanted to play here. The thing is, he's way more likely, number one, and number two, he's another playmaker on this team. So he's been trapped in this miserable situation in Charlotte. He's going to have other suitors like the LA Lakers and the New York Knicks, but those guys are going to be targeting the big names like Kawhi Leonard and Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving before they focus on Kemba Walker. So that gives the Mavs a chance to kind of slither in and hopefully get a meeting with him and, heck, sign on the dotted line if he wants to. And in that case, no Maverick fan should be upset. And let me tell you why. No, he's not a great defender, but he's a playmaker. And the reason that's so important is because look at these teams in the second round of the playoffs. Golden State has Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and even Draymond Green to make plays for them. Houston Rockets have Chris Paul and James Harden. Portland has CJ McCollum and Damian Lillard. Denver has Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Toronto has Kyle Lowry, who's obviously had a bad playoffs, first two rounds, and Kawhi Leonard. Philadelphia has Ben Simmons and Jimmy Butler. Even Tobias Harris makes some plays for them. And then, Milwaukee has Giannis and Eric Bledsoe. And then Boston has Kyrie. He's the main playmaker on that team. And you can't let Luka Doncic do everything. I love the guy. I mean, he's the Rookie of the Year. He's my favorite player in the NBA right now. But you got to have another playmaker next to him. And Kemba Walker is a star-level playmaker. So if he wants the max and he says he wants to play in Dallas, sign me up all day. I mean, he's going to help make this team a lot better than they are right now. I just don't understand how people can say I don't want him. I can understand people saying, look, I want Middleton over him. I want this guy over him for the max. I don't understand how they would say, look, if he wants to play here, no thank you. Sign me up all day for Kemba Walker in Dallas if he wants to be here. But let me know in the comment section below which one you would rather have. Right now, like I said, I'm leaning Middleton. It's just less likely. So which would you rather the Mavericks focus their attention on this summer? Khris Middleton or Kemba Walker? Both of them probably getting the max. Both of them would come in and probably be the third option on this Dallas Maverick team, or third best player on this Dallas Maverick team. Like I said, if Kemba wants to be here, come to Dallas, baby. So look, this is where I'm going to end my show. Is one more name is Tobias Harris. According to Shams Charania of The Athletic, the forward for the Philadelphia 76ers is going to have a handful of suitors to choose from when he enters unrestricted free agency this summer. The Mavs are one of those teams, along with the Brooklyn Nets, the Utah Jazz, the Memphis Grizzlies, and then of course the Philadelphia 76ers are expected to want him back. The question is, can they and will they? So this past year, between his time with the Sixers and the Los Angeles Clippers, he put up 20 points per game, nearly 8 rebounds, 2.8 assists, and then nearly 40% from three. And look, for the longest time, I was out on Tobias Harris in a Dallas Maverick uniform because I thought he was like a Harrison Barnes 2.0. Turns out I was way wrong after watching him a little bit more in this playoffs and watching a little bit more closely. I've kind of switched my stance. I'd be okay with Tobias Harris in Dallas. I don't think he should be our number one target by any means, but I would not be mad if Tobias Harris was in a Dallas Maverick uniform this summer. Let me compare Harrison Barnes and Tobias Harris real quick side by side. HB, loved him in Dallas. He's gone now. 16.4 points per game, 4.7 rebounds, 1.5 assists, and then also 39.5% from three this past season between his time in Dallas and the Sacramento Kings. And then Toby, 20 points per game, like I said, 8 rebounds, 3 assists nearly 40% from three. Here's the thing. Most frustrating thing for Mavs fans with Harrison Barnes is that he wasn't a very willing passer, and a guy that was listed as a power forward was not willing to rebound. He only pulled down, like it said, nearly 5 rebounds per game. Tobias Harris, on the other hand, a willing passer, a better ball handler than Harrison Barnes. He can create his own shot better than Harrison Barnes, and he's a much better rebounder than Harrison Barnes. They're not the same player at all. I was very mistaken in that take earlier. Not the same player. I really like Tobias Harris. Like I said, I think there are a lot of better options for the Mavs this summer, but I wouldn't be mad if Tobias Harris ended up in Dallas after free agency is over. So let me know. This is how we're going to end the show. I want you guys to put it in the comment section below who the number one target for the Dallas Mavericks should be in free agency. And that wraps up our news and rumors show. lot of stuff going around Mavs Nation lately. The NBA Draft Lottery is on its way. And most importantly, guys, I want to remind you that today's show was brought to you by Wager Talk. Go get our free promo at wagertalk.com/chatsports. Subscribe to Chat Sports on YouTube and follow me on Twitter at all_things_Mavs, and I'll keep you updated with the Dallas Mavericks rumors all summer long. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.